The storm hit Daniel's life long before the rain ever did. It began on a freezing Monday morning when he stood in front of the daycare notice that said fees were overdue, his daughter Lily tugging at his coat, asking why he wasn't smiling today. As the world rushed around him, he felt like a man who had run out of corners to retreat to. Single fatherhood had turned him into a quiet warrior, someone who worked late shifts, someone who skipped meals so his daughter never had to, someone who had learned how to bandage both scraped knees and broken hopes. He thought he had seen every kind of hardship until the silver car stopped in front of him, its windows tinted, its presence almost unreal in his gray morning. The door opened, and a woman stepped out, powerful, elegant, breathtakingly composed, yet something in her eyes flickered like a candle fighting to stay alive. That was the moment Daniel's life took a turn he never saw coming. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life brings people together, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps this channel grow and reach more hearts. Her name was Amelia Hart, the youngest female CEO in her industry, a woman whose life was defined by perfection and control. Yet that morning she looked anything but in control. There was a crack in her usual confidence, a softness hidden behind the sharp edges of her tailored suit. She looked at Daniel as if she had rehearsed 1,000 ways to speak and still hadn't found the right one. She wasn't used to asking for help. She was the one people depended on. And yet there she was, standing in front of a struggling single dad, asking for something that sounded absurd even to her own ears. She needed someone to pretend to be her boyfriend at her ex-fiance's wedding. Not because she cared about appearances, not because she wanted revenge, but because her past had always found a way to humiliate her publicly, mercilessly, repeatedly. She didn't want to walk into another room where whispered judgments followed her like poisoned shadows. She wanted one day, just one, where she looked unbreakable. Daniel didn't know what stunned him more, her request or the quiet desperation in her voice. A man like him didn't belong in the world she came from. He lived paycheck to paycheck, mending old shoes instead of buying new ones, choosing thrift stores over luxury malls, and carefully counting every coin before spending it. Amelia, on the other hand, stepped out of a reality that looked like it belonged in glossy magazines. Yet, despite their differences, something in her eyes mirrored the same loneliness he carried, a loneliness that came from fighting battles no one else saw, from being strong for too long, from pretending life didn't hurt. He wanted to refuse. He wanted to walk away because the idea felt foolish and dangerous in ways he couldn't explain. But then she looked at Lily with the gentlest smile, and Lily, usually shy with strangers, smiled back instantly. That moment, as small as it was, made Daniel reconsider everything. He needed the extra money she offered. He needed a break from the weight of survival. And maybe, deep down, he understood what it felt like to not want to face your past alone. As the days passed, Amelia and Daniel spent time preparing for the event. For Amelia, it meant showing him how to fit into her world, how to walk into a ballroom without looking lost, how to speak with grace, how to wear the suit she had tailored for him without shrinking under its elegance. For Daniel, it meant letting someone into his guarded life for the first time in years. He found himself noticing the exhaustion behind her strong front, the way she clung to work as if it was the only place she still felt capable, the silent pain she carried from a relationship that had broken her piece by piece. And Amelia saw the way Daniel sacrificed without complaint, the way he gave Lily the warmest, safest love, the way he carried guilt from. A marriage that ended tragically, not by choice, but by loss. They were two people from different worlds, yet both were carrying invisible wounds. On the morning of the wedding, the sky was breathtakingly clear, as if the universe had washed away its own regrets. Daniel arrived at Amelia's penthouse wearing the suit she gave him, looking like a man who had stepped out of a different life entirely. Amelia froze when she saw him, because for a moment, she forgot this was supposed to be an act. Something about his quiet dignity, his steady presence, made her heart steadier too. The drive to the venue was lined with silence, not because there was nothing to say, but because emotions spoke louder than words. Amelia clenched her hands tightly, and Daniel gently placed one hand over hers, not romantically, not theatrically, but reassuringly. She didn't realize how much she needed that simple touch. The wedding venue was a grand estate filled with flowers, gold decorations, and polished floors that reflected every insecurity Amelia had tried to bury. As she entered with Daniel beside her, whispers rippled through the crowd. Eyes widened. People who once belittled her now stared with envy, surprise, confusion. And for the first time, Amelia felt tall, not because of Daniel's presence, but because she finally walked without feeling small. Her ex-fiancé, Adrian, looked stunned when he saw Daniel. The man who once made her doubt her worth now struggled to hide the shock in his eyes. Amelia didn't want revenge. She didn't want to win. She simply wanted freedom from the humiliation she had endured. And somehow, standing beside a man who held her hand as if she mattered, she felt exactly that free. But the day wasn't as simple as acting. Old wounds reopened. Adrian's new bride made subtle jabs at Amelia. Guests whispered rumors. Memories surfaced like ghosts, reminding Amelia of every moment she had been abandoned, overlooked, and heartbroken. Her breathing grew shallow, her confidence wavered, and for a second, she felt herself slipping back into the woman who had once cried silently at night, after Adrian left her for someone easier. Daniel saw it. He saw the tremble in her shoulders, the fear in her eyes, and without a word, he stepped closer, placing a hand at the small of her back with gentle certainty. Amelia inhaled deeply. His presence wasn't loud or dramatic, but it was steady like an anchor keeping her from floating away. Throughout the evening, Daniel wasn't acting. He wasn't pretending to be someone else. He simply treated Amelia with the respect, admiration, and quiet care she had never received before. And people noticed. They saw the way she glowed differently around him, the way he looked at her like she wasn't a trophy or a title, but a human being deserving of love and peace. When the slow music started, Amelia hesitated, but Daniel extended his hand. She took it, feeling warmth spread through her chest. They danced, not perfectly, not flawlessly, but beautifully, because the rhythm wasn't in their steps, but in the way they looked at each other. The room blurred around them as if the world finally understood it should step back and let them breathe. At one point, Amelia's eyes welled up, not from pain but from realization, realizing that sometimes the right person enters your life from the most unexpected corner, on the most ordinary day. By the end of the wedding, Amelia felt a version of herself she had forgotten existed, strong, confident, and worthy. Daniel felt something unfamiliar too. Hope. Hope that life could still surprise him, that happiness wasn't something only other people found. As they walked out, the night breeze brushing against them, Amelia stopped and looked at Daniel with the softest gaze he had ever seen. She thanked him, not just for pretending, but for giving her something she thought she had lost forever: dignity, confidence, and the ability to face her past without breaking. For Daniel, the night had shown him something, too, that maybe his heart wasn't as closed as he believed, that maybe someone could care for him not out of obligation, but genuinely. Amelia wasn't perfect, but she was real. And so was he. Over the following weeks, something gentle grew between them. They met for coffee accidentally. They talked about their lives more openly, and Amelia slowly became someone Lily adored, someone who brought warmth into their small, struggling home. Amelia found comfort in Daniel's honesty, his reliability, his quiet strength. Daniel found healing in her compassion, her intelligence, her ability to see worth in him when he struggled to see it himself. They didn't rush, they didn't pretend. They simply let life breathe between them. But love doesn't come without fear. Amelia worried she wasn't cut out to be part of a child's world. Daniel worried he wasn't enough for a woman who lived in penthouses and boardrooms, yet every time they tried to step back, something pulled them forward, memories of the night they faced her past together. Memories of how right everything felt when they stood side by side. The turning point came one evening when Lily fell asleep on Amelia's lap during a movie night. Amelia looked at the child's peaceful face, then at Daniel, and felt tears sting her eyes. She realized she wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't running. She wanted to stay, not for a day, not for a role, but for a lifetime. And Daniel realized that the woman he once thought belonged to a world far beyond his reach was, in truth, someone who matched the rhythm of his heart perfectly. Their story wasn't about a fake relationship. It was about how one unexpected request opened the door to healing, trust, and the kind of love that grows quietly but deeply, like light filling the cracks of broken places. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps keep stories like this alive. Before the ending continues, please comment below. Would you ever be a fake date for someone who needed emotional support? Amelia and Daniel's love didn't start with perfection. It didn't start with roses or promises. It began with fear, with vulnerability, with two broken lives finding refuge in each other. And maybe that's what made it beautiful. Because real love isn't about the moment you meet, it's about the courage to stay when life gets messy, painful, and uncertain. It's about choosing each other day after day, even when your past tries to haunt you. Amelia chose Daniel. Daniel chose Amelia. And together, they built something stronger than the pain that once defined them. A family, a future, a second chance written gently into their hearts by a request that was never supposed to become real.